Today's conference occurs at a time of great turmoil and great possibility. Today, the presidents of China, Russia, and the United States, among other nations, are convened in Europe. We don't know what will be discussed there, but we can say that in the struggle for mutual understanding among people and great nations, that the cultural dialogue among great nations should supersede temporary divisions of politics and ideology. The thinkers Confucius and Gottfried Leibniz are more alive today than the strong men and ideologues of the dim past of the East and West. Many years ago, back in 1984 to be exact, Helga Zepp LaRouche founded our Schiller Institute with the strong conviction that all of humanity expresses greatness in specific ways through its various cultural gifts, and it is the universality as well as the ensemble of that greatness that distinguishes us as a species. That there is a destiny for our species, a divine destiny, if you will, that allows us to transcend the apparent differences to arrive at a world finally fit for adults. Interestingly, the nation of China is leading the way in the world today in the effort to raise people, the human race, out of poverty and out of hunger. Our conference today should be seen in the context of the global discussion, the global dialogue, which the presidents of our respective nations can be productively engaged in. I'd like to point out that when we talk about the actual topic, food for peace and thought, China-US agricultural cooperation, of course, this extends to all other nations. One element of this I'd like to point out to you is that 50 years from now, in 2067, the most populated continent in the world will be Africa. In about 32 years or so, there will be 1 billion young people under the age of 18 in the continent of Africa. Approximately 50 years from now, there will be 1 billion people living in the nation of Nigeria. China's approach to resolving not only its own food crises, but in lifting people out of poverty as a whole, is one which we used to call or know in the United States as the American approach. We used to do things like that in this country, and we are capable of doing these things again. American agriculture demonstrates that capability. I want to hold up just for a moment these two reports, which I neglected to bring to the podium when I came. The New Silk Road becomes the World Land Bridge, which was the inspiration of Helga Zepp LaRouche, actually the second edition of a report that was originally written in 1997, 20 years ago, which was called the Eurasian Land Bridge, the New Silk Road Locomotive for World Economic Development. And this is the Belt and Road monograph. This is actually an older copy of the China Energy Fund Committee. And we saw in these documents and in the recent period of months that we've been privileged to collaborate with that organization, a need to convene, even right after the American 4th of July, a conference to have this discussion. We're pleased today to start us off with that discussion, to have with us Mr. Dwayne Hopkins, former mayor of Muscatine, Iowa. I think he's intending to become mayor of that again. And he is someone with a unique story about Russia-Chinese cooperation. And so I'd like Mr. Hopkins to come to the stage now to start us off.